G'day guys, it's Jake here, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Please do your own research when it comes to investing. Alright, let's go. So let's look at the markets and we'll see what we are going through, especially in the crypto markets. So first of all, let's talk about some alt BTC pairs. So I've already covered the 4 dominance pairs on my previous video. So today I thought I would like to cover the alt BTC pairs. So first of all, we've got total 3 minus USDT divided by Bitcoin. So all total 3, everything except for ETH and Bitcoin aren't in this calculation, and also USDT and against Bitcoin. So we have here a support line at 0.4, and we have touched this a fair few times. Okay, that's like more times. The rule is the more times that a price that touches support will eventually break. So I'm not seeing it hold much longer. We're very coming into the late stages of this, and we are right on it right now. We're literally right on it. So if you scroll out a little bit, you can see that we've had ups and downs, ups and downs. This is basically, it's like an oscillator. It goes up to the high of the range, down to the bottom of the range, up, down. So we're sort of in the middle of nowhere's land. We're not at the bottom of this range. All right, the 0.25 level that I marked out there. We are sort of stuck in the 0.4, ready to decide whether we go up or down to favour Bitcoin in this scenario. So yeah, we've had a similar line of Drew here, which I find is very similar to here in 2019. As I mentioned in the last video, some Fed data tools to indicate why we pivoted from Bitcoin dominance going up versus the altcoins, and others' dominance, and how that was affected by the Fed's action. So I'll pull up those charts again. Now we're talking mainly about the balance sheet of the Fed, and I'll bring up interest rates as well, as it's very sort of important to track both of these tools. What the Fed uses to combat inflation mainly. So let's go back to 2019, because I think this is a very favourable comparison. We have a shoot up here, right? We had a big peak, we had a low, we had a lower high, and then we had a level here, right? A lower high, and we came back down here, and as this was happening, right, the market, it was the USDT minus total 3 was getting weak as the balance sheet was going down. Okay, as I mentioned in the last video, we had a support level here, and straight after the Fed cut in July, what happened? We came all the way back down here, and shortly after that we bottomed. We actually bottomed on that chart back down to this level here, which is marked right before this alt season in 2017. So we came back to the lows there. This is after a rate cut, and also after, guys, look at this, after Fed pivot, buying assets on the balance sheet. So we found a bottom right there, right when we transitioned, right, from this quantitative tightening, as they call it, reducing their securities holdings, to the Fed increasing, which is quantitative easing. And we cut, which signaled weakness, and we kept going down, and we bottomed here, and we went sideways for a bit and went down. This is the last bull market. So bull market here, We had a down move like this. We had a move here. It wasn't reaching this all-time high, this high here, and we came down. We didn't quite break it like this one, so there was a bit of difference there. So we had more of a triple peak, triple top versus a slanted double top, but we came down. Okay, we broke. We had another high, and then we came down. This is right as the Fed balance sheet was going down. So this signaled the top, and we went down, right? That's a Fed balance sheet. And we've had a level. We're stuck in the middle. We're stuck in the middle, like this one. And interest rates, right, are up here. They've paused. Same as here. They've paused, right, this level. Okay, and we finally broke right before the rate cut happened. Right before it happened, right here, we broke down. Okay, so right before it, and are we about to cut this month as we come down definitively before the cut, and we get the cut, which we'll see way more downside. Okay, to hit the bottom of this range. We had a little bit of deviation here, right at the end of that year, 2020, of a shakeout in the total 3 market, but relatively the best fit line is here, and I see it as a comparison to that due to the rate cuts and the balance sheet. But we need a balance sheet to tick back up to also confirm the bottom. Okay, so that's that chart. Now others, Bitcoin, it's very similar. It's going to be similar to the next chart I look at, ETH Bitcoin. We'll just quickly touch over this one. So we had a rise, okay, as the balance sheet was flat. And then we had the balance sheet go down. We had this chart go down. Where did we mark a bottom? Exactly like the last chart, right when the Fed pivoted, okay? Exact same thing, okay? And we cut rates at that stage. So we cut rates here. We still had a little bit to go, and then we found a bottom, exactly like the total 3, exactly the same. Others is outside the top 10 altcoins, so it's very similar in that regard. And from there, we had a momentous uprise, okay, and then this little similar sort of shakeout as the other chart had to come back down here, okay, this low, which is this low here, very similar levels. And I've drawn this out again to match this. I believe we're going back down to 0.08, okay, and I'll show you what these white measurements are. So we had a high, we came down 67%, to mid 60s roughly. We shot up 65%, 65, and then we had a little peak here, and we came down 62%, okay, to mark a bottom there, right? This is very similar to what's happening here. So that was the last 2017 cycle. This is 2021 cycle. We came down 68%, so quite similar. We came up 69%, a little bit more than that one. And do we come back down to this 0.08 to get to around 70%? This came down 62%, but will we come down a little bit further, be in that sort of vicinity? Still similar measurements as that to come back down and reclaim the lows here before we go into alt season, okay? And it could go into 2026, this one. We'll see how this goes. At this stage, we're in July, and July 2020 was back here, okay? So we were sort of rising up. It came up into October and we shook down. So it doesn't take much for it to go. If you do see an uptick, a bounce at this level, 0.16, and then down and then up. See how quickly it sort of moves, shoots right up. So we'll see what happens there. And that just happens when the Fed pivot, the balance sheet goes back up and the rate cuts are sort of normalised. And we see a normalisation here, and we see an uprise after the cuts have pretty much bottomed. they can keep going down, and this can go up too. I believe if the conditions ease in the economy, let's do with the inflation numbers, the unemployment. If that starts to come back down, then we'll see sort of risk assets, especially the higher risk assets like the altcoins, outperform Bitcoin. Now, lastly, let's talk about ETH, Bitcoin. It's just the same as the other two charts. Essentially, it's a little bit different, but it's quite the same. Okay, so we have balance sheet down, we have price down, we find a bottom right there, as you can see. I'll zoom in a bit more so you can see it better. Right there, okay, and then Fed pivots, and then we come up, bit of a slow grind, and then as this goes up, so does the other one, and it's the same thing. We come down, and we come down, okay? So it's exact same as that, and these were sort of stable, so the other conditions were right, and we shot up. That was the 2017 run for ETH, which was the first bull run there, and the second bull run, and going to the next one. So we have that, okay, and we had a rate cut, and a rate cut right to there as we're breaking down, and we had a little bit further to go, exactly like the other two. It's a little bit further to go until we pivoted in this line here, the second line, okay, and then we shot up exactly like the others. It's just everything against Bitcoin. Okay, this is what happens. This is how I believe it'll play out. No guarantees. Could be wrong. Okay, so I'd love to be grilled in the comments if this does not play out, and we do have a left translated cycle, and we have a alt season this year. If it does happen, I'd believe that, because we're in a halving year. Historically, that hasn't happened. So why this time? Okay, so I just want to show you something else real quick. So I want to show you some chart simulations, patterns that I can recognize, and I can just show you exactly, just illustrated. So we had a high top, we had a low, we had a high, which is lower than that one. We came back down to touch this level. We traded sideways for a bit. We came back down, and we broke again. So this was 2016. This is this is sort of the halving period for the bull market, which is 2017. We had a high, we had a low, we had a lower high, and we came back down to the low. As mentioned there, we went sideways, okay, exactly as I mentioned, and we broke down to mark a bottom in ETH Bitcoin chart. And coming up to the 2021 cycle, this is a bit different, but it gives you roughly the same idea. So we had a high, a lower high, we had this level here in the middle, okay? It's really fake out in the middle of the year's massive correction we had, and we came back down this level again, okay? We trade sideways, and now will we repeat these two and come back down? I mark this level here, looks like a good support level, okay? I did draw it based on a fib, I believe. Mark it up there. It's a 786 fib, which was like the deepest pullbacks. And yeah, this box pretty much coincides with the big breakout we had right in April. So I believe we're going down to the 0.03 to 0.035 level to bottom out before going higher into the much anticipated bull run. Okay. And this is interesting because yes, this has been trending up. Okay. Higher lows here. This could be a higher low in relation to this one. But so the first bull market it had was here, and we've actually made lower highs, not higher highs. So this is sort of contracting. Okay, so will we peak back up to here, to this level? Okay, as previous bull run, or will we go lower to 0.06? So it's going lower there, lower there, lower there, as we have some room from this bottom level to go to here. We'll have to see. We don't know yet, but that's what I'm predicting, and I could be wrong. We've had a bit of a push up this level. It doesn't really want to break. We've got the Ethereum ETF coming out this week, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Interesting to see if we break this level. I'll use this tool here, and I want to see this broken, okay, to invalidate this, to go higher, and then this thesis will be dismissed. In my opinion, this will not play out. As long as we stay below these two highs here, I still think this is going to play out to the downside, and then we break lower, heading back down to here. Okay, that's my analysis of total 3 minus USDT divided by Bitcoin and others Bitcoin, which I mentioned, and lastly ETH Bitcoin. They're all very similar, slight differences, but pretty much the same. And we'll just finish off with the Bitcoin price, where we have Bitcoin. Had a bit of a move in Bitcoin today. Let's go on the daily chart. Now we've had a nice bounce there, right at support at 61,000. As we can see, deviation, and then we've had a push. Okay, so we've had a bit of fake out below this level, as we had here. This traps the longs, wipes them out, and it takes that liquidity and shoots back higher. And here's the same thing we have there. So we'll see how this tracks. We need to break 65,000, which is this mid-level here, to gain some momentum. Let's just use this tool here. All right, before going, in my opinion, to the highs to see whether we do break out. Okay, this will be like a left translated cycle going to the end of this year, or as I predict, Bitcoin looks weak here. I've tested it so many times that we could bounce a little bit longer. In confluence with this rising trend line here, touched it once, twice, and will we come back down a third time, and then break, retest, and then go lower. Okay, we'll see what happens there with the Bitcoin price. God knows what's going to happen. Yeah, it's been a good one. Please smash the like, comment your thoughts below, subscribe to stay updated, and with that being said, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.